How's it going, everyone? So in this video we're going to be talking about discipline and motivation, because I think when I started out it was really kind of apparent to me that motivation was really important to making a lot of money online or doing anything in life. And even when it comes to going to the gym and different things like that, I think there's so many transferable skills that you can find in something else that you may do that you can bring to the table with when you're building niche websites, for example. So, like, if I was to talk about what I do personally now online, it's building websites and trying to monetize those sites through affiliate marketing. So, what happens is you realize that motivation is not really everything that it's sold to be in that sense. Because when you start out, everyone says, yeah, I'm motivated and whatever else. And then you look at people like Gary Vee and whatever else. And don't get me wrong, Gary Vee is highly successful. But what you're not seeing beneath the curtains is that it's more discipline than it is motivation that comes from Gary Vee's success. So, like, what I'm going to use as an example is when I go to the gym. So, for example, when I get out of shape and I kind of start feeling a bit sluggish and I realize that the foods that I've been eating are crappy. So just say, for example, I'm eating a lot of sweets and a lot of bad food, fatty foods, oil, all of that. What will happen is it will start to trigger in my mind. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of a different topic here, but what it is we don't live up to our highest desired person or self that we wish to be. We live to our lowest standards. So wherever your sort of lowest standards are is exactly wherever that you will allow yourself to get to before you'll take massive, huge amounts of action to get yourself back to wherever it is that you kind of float between in that sense. So like we can use this for a financial circumstance or for a fitness circumstance. Like, for example, I weigh about 13.5 stone on average, like, kind of lean. I'm quite lean with muscle. Now, if I notice myself, like what happens with me is I start to lose weight opposed to gain weight. So if I notice myself getting like really slim to like, I don't know, like, maybe about 12.5 stone, it's going to hit me and I'm going to say I'm going to have to take massive action. So what happens is it's almost like a survival skill that gets put to the forefront at that point. So even like, whatever else I'm doing in the evenings will kind of get put secondary so I can go to the gym, like, or I'll probably do it in the morning, to be fair. But yeah, in the mornings, I'd probably do it. But anyway, everything will get put behind it. So like everything becomes necessary with fitness. It's the same as like, your bank account, for example. Like you might have like a threshold, like just say, for example, you've got savings of 5,000 or £100 even. It might be just £100, whatever it is. Whenever your bank account goes below it, just say if it's even zero, or it might be even minus 200 or whatever, overdraft. But there's going to be that number that kind of like triggers you to take massive amounts of action. Now, this is because that's your lowest standard. So when you hit that rock bottom, you're like, everything else is kind of irrelevant or unimportant. And you're just going to take huge amounts of action to kind of chase where you was and get back to that point. And that's just the way that we kind of float through life. But the way that we actually can increase and improve ourselves and develop into a bigger and better person is by actually raising that criteria or that benchmark to your lowest standard being a bit higher than where it is now. So for example, if your kind of benchmark is minus 200 for your overdraft where you take huge amounts of action, clear that, start working towards saving up a bit more money, get up to maybe about 200 in the positive, and then monitor that. So what will happen is, as you monitor it over time and you maintain it in that sense, what will happen is your mind is now going to be scared of losing that amount of money. It's like the same as when I was giving my partner an example the other day of, just say, for example, you take an overweight guy who weighs about, I don't know, 24 stone. Let's just use like a very, morbidly obese guy. And in the circumstance, the guy weighs 24 stone. And then it gets to the point where the doctors come in and they're like, listen, if you don't lose any weight or you don't stop eating what you're eating, you're going to die. So from there, it makes him, first of all, one, he has to become someone else to basically fulfill the fallacy of, becoming a lighter weighted person. So from that point there, when he chooses to lose weight, he has to be the person that he's going to become in that sense. So he has to visualize himself getting and becoming that person. And then he just lives up to whatever it is that he dreamt up. So if he dreamt up that he's going to be 14 stone, he just has to fulfill that prophecy in that sense. But like, so for example, his minimum, like his kind of lowest standard is 24 stone. Like if he gets any above that, he's going to die. Like, and that is just what's in his head. So what happens for someone like that is he now might move the benchmark where he starts going to the gym. He gets like a fitness instructor. He starts managing his diet, and he goes from 24 stone down to like 22 stone. Now his lowest standard might become 23 stone. So if he gets to 23 stone, he realizes that he's really moving backwards to where he was. And that fear factor keeps him driving towards this 14 stone goal, or objective, I should say. Okay, so for example, now what it is, motivation is going to be great in the beginning of this journey for the guy. Motivation is going to give him the oomph to get up in the morning. But from learning about the way that humans work and the way that our brain works, which I've been kind of reading into for many years now, I've understood that motivation is nothing more than a level of battery life in that sense. And that's really and truly a great comparison, and the most accurate that I can put it to. So what happens is, when you wake up in the morning, you've got tons of motivation. So first things first, whatever you should set out in the morning to do is the most important thing. So whatever it is, I mean, obviously everyone's got different circumstances and whatever else. But if you're trying to like become hugely successful and your number one objective is like a financial goal or whatever, you need to really ask yourself, are you putting that first inside of the morning? Because what happens is, throughout the day, those batteries are going to drain. And by the time the end of the day or the evening comes, you need to be doing only those small, unimportant tasks, because the energy of your motivation is obviously not going to be the same, and you're going to be a lot more fatigued and tired. Okay, so you want to really move all of those most difficult tasks to the morning. Now, this is just basic prioritization. And what was the difficult part is because I actually heard a guy like quite a while ago who was talking about affiliate marketing, whatever. I used to follow him. And this is how I used to see things in the wrong way. The guy basically gave a really good example, which I thought made sense at the time. And he said, it's really good to get the easiest tasks done in the morning because, when you get those tasks out of the way, you almost have a sense of accomplishment and achievement. So once you've completed that, you kind of think, yeah, you know what, I can do more difficult things throughout the day. So you can tackle on more things because you've already achieved something. And mentally, that's true, because like when you do accomplish a task, it motivates you to continue on to the next task. It's like, if the guy goes to the gym to lose weight, if he goes one day, he looks back on that day and he feels it's an achievement, so it motivates him to do it the next day. So yes, it's right in that way, but where it's completely wrong and flawed is that you are not supposed to do the easiest tasks in the morning. So these were things I didn't understand. So even if you're doing something on your site or whatever, you need to prioritize the most important and most difficult tasks first. You want to tackle those big things with the most motivation and the most energy, so you can just hammer it, get over it, and then micromanage the other tasks later. So that is the way I prioritize my days. And also, this is how you get huge amounts of progression in a fast sort of format, like, in a fast pace. Because everyone's asking me, like, how did you manage to accomplish, a 60-page website in under 3 months? And the fact is, because I just write content, I focus on writing content. So whilst everyone else is trying to do their design and, trying to do all these other things, I just focused on researching good keywords and writing content on the back of that. And that is all I do. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's that simple, because what you'll realize in life is the most basic things are the things that are going to move you the furthest forward. And those are the things that make a significant difference to your path or your journey to how fast you streamline towards your objectives. For example, if we look at all of the advanced techniques and things like that. So just say, for example, you might have split testing. So you might have an actual page, a landing page or something like that. So a website where everyone lands on a certain page. and then you might have the page, and then you might split test the page. But split testing is like a fine tune. So you really need to be getting sales and you know, really getting traffic to your page in the first place, which is the basic stuff, before you make those tweaks. And then when you make those tweaks, it's only going to take you like, you know, maybe about 8% or 10% difference. So it might increase, you know, your conversion rate from 40 to 50%. But the basic stuff is actually getting the post out, you know, or getting the landing page up. Basics. Getting traffic to the page. Basics. It's like going to the gym. You can go and do all this fancy stuff like, you know, like reverse grip, tricep curls and all of this stuff. But the main thing is eat well, sleep well, and go to the gym. You know, those are the three things that are basic. Like if you go there and you do core exercises, so you just do a basic tricep extension, you don't have to do all this fancy stuff. You know, you do squats, that's your legs, like, you know, and calf raises, that's your calves. So you've done your hamstrings, you've done, you know, everything, all your muscles. But like all of these different things is like, you know, you see people doing all this fancy stuff, and then some people ask me, how do you get huge results? But I just stick to the basics. That's exactly how I do it. And I didn't realize it for a long time that I used to do things like that, because one thing I could say is like sometimes you have to look at where you're successful in other areas. And I always refer to the gym because that's something that I feel like I've kind of just, you know, it's a constant learning curve. So you never ever stop learning. Like I can never say I've mastered it, but I feel like I've got it under the belt. Like if I want to get real fit, like I'm talking real fit or real shredded, I can do it. Like if I want to get real big, real huge, I can do it, because I've gathered so much knowledge over the years and I've taken so much action and I've been there and I've achieved it, you know, to many different objectives. And I'm able to condense that into a very short amount of time these days, where someone might see me now like on the camera and think, oh, he's kind of slim, and then see me like in a couple of months and be like, whoa, like is this guy on steroids? You know, so, and what I realize is, if I take a lot of things from there, the only thing that keeps me going is not motivation, it's discipline. So when people go and they're like, oh my God, how do you keep going to the gym? It's discipline, but we're more focused and motivated from fear than we are from accumulation. So you see, like, for example, if I kind of gave you like your dream house and I said, you've got to make 100 sales on whatever it is business that you're doing. If you're working in, just say if we worked in a call center and I said, you've got this dream house, here it is. And I said, you know, if you don't make 100 sales, you're going to lose your house. Because you've got it tangible, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't lose my house. So that fear is going to motivate you. And it's almost inevitable that you'll do whatever it takes to actually hit those 100 sales. But when you haven't got something tangible and it's almost something fictitious in your mind, you kind of will look at it. And if I were to say to you, get 100 sales, you wouldn't be as motivated because you're already kind of content with the things that you've got and it isn't yet in your possession. So it's a lot more difficult to physically kind of understand or, you know, picture it in your possession if you haven't yet got it. So you really want to motivate yourself with fear. So for me, for example, my fear is like being out of shape. So even like the petty things of people seeing me and saying, oh, you know what, this guy's out of shape. And I don't really care what people think on that level, but it's just how you know, I will feel within myself. So like all of those different things is what motivates me to stay in shape. And if I see myself slipping too much, that will be like, okay, yep, I need to take action now and I'm back in it. And all that is that's my lowest standard. And that discipline is what keeps me going. So I hope you could gather from this video, you know, some really useful information. And really, discipline is everything. And what you need to understand is that motivation is very minimal and it only lasts for a certain amount of time. It runs out. Okay, so gain discipline and that is what is going to help you. And being disciplined, it means doing it in all areas. So if you're doing it in your site, do it in your home life, do it in, you know, your work life elsewhere, if you're in a job or whatever. Be relentless with it and just really, you know, hone in on gaining discipline throughout your lifestyle, and it will really, really help you to succeed and hit any objectives or targets that you're trying to achieve. All right, so if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. If you like the video, please do leave a like. and reach out to me with any questions or comments in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed it again, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.